I think one of the major successes that the Commission have recorded is to register about 90% of the eligible voters. It's quite a good number in terms of the voter registration turnout. And this is mainly or solely not because of the efforts of the Commission alone, but collectively with all stakeholders in the country and those abroad. And I think what we want to is to really thank our stakeholders, the key stakeholders, political parties, civil society organizations, and the electorate as a whole, including the media, for the role they have played in terms of encouraging and enticing the eligible voters to register and to ensure that we reach this target.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Siluka, can you identify specific challenges or obstacles encountered during the GRV process, and how were these challenges addressed?
Well, when we commenced with the registration on the 3rd of June, this is a process that the Commission closely monitored to ensure that if there are any glitches, then they are addressed. We observed some technical glitches in terms of the quality of pictures of our cameras, because we then figured out that the ISO standard on the cameras were set too high. So that has to be adjusted. And then after that, the printing of quality pictures was restored. The other challenge that we faced was the malfunctioning of our printers, some of the printers malfunctioning. And because we had a technical team that was deployed across the country, these challenges were addressed as we were expediting the process.
And what do you personally think could have been done differently?
In a country where registration is on a voluntary basis, I think we as a country have done quite well in terms of turnout. But I think it's also an attitude that needs to be changed, because for you to vote, you need to be a registered voter that appears on the voters register. And it's a civic duty of every eligible Namibian who is 18 years and above to participate in a democratic process. And you can only participate in a democratic process by volunteering yourself, because nobody is going to go and force you to. We don't have laws in Namibia that force people to participate in a democratic process. So it's kind of a volunteerism. It's your civic duty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Voluntary. Now, how effective were the current procedures and protocols in managing the GRV process?
As a commission, we have launched the electoral calendar. And this is a yardstick that assists us to track the activities of this electoral cycle. So one of the activities thereof was to ensure that we have a time frame for registering people. And before the actual registration, we started with our voter and civic education to sensitize the public on who has to register, why they have to register, and the requirements to register. And we also, like I mentioned at the onset, that we partnered up with our stakeholders who has then assisted us to get that message across.
Now, were there any issues related to the accuracy and reliability of the voters' registration data collected, and how were these issues managed?
Well, you see, after the 2019 and 2020 elections, the Commission took a comprehensive review of the current, of the then registration system to ensure that we enhance our operational efficiency. And one of the recommendations of that review was then to integrate the mobile registration system into what we call the integrated mobile voters registration system. And this is an enhanced system that we then deployed during the registration process that we just concluded. And that integrated mobile registration voter system has different modules. It interfaces the registration of voters, it interfaces the verification and identification of the voters, and then it also interfaces the nomination of candidates and political parties representatives, and it also will have a module to then register political parties. So these modules are interfaced into one system, and this is a system that was customized and tailor-made for the need of the Electoral Commission of Namibia to ensure the management of the electoral processes going forward. So these are the systems that we have deployed. Recently, I think after the announcement of the provisional voters register on 29th of August, we then also tested the system that we're going to be using for identification and verification of voters on polling day. We tested it with members of the political party liaison committees during our PLC meeting on the 29th of August. And then we further then conducted a mock voter verification and identification exercise on the 30th and the 31st of August. And the purpose of this is to also prepare ourselves to ensure that these systems are tested to ensure that they work properly before the actual deployment on polling day, because we don't want to go on polling day and then the system is failing. Yes.
Now, on the technological side of things, was the technology used for the GRV process effective and reliable? And were there any technical issues that impacted the process?
Like I've mentioned, the technology that we have deployed, I think it's not only the ECN that can commend it, but we have also observed even the observers who have visited us, like the SADC mission that was here to do a pre-assessment and notice pre-assessment of the electoral preparedness in terms of the commission. They have commended the system as one of the best, because look, this is a system that will capture all your details within a space of a minimum of 3 to 5 minutes to ensure that you are registered on the system. And also from the review that we took with the electorate during the process, it was also commendable that indeed the system was so good in terms of registration. So we would say the system that we have deployed for registration is one of the best, if not on the continent, and also within SADC.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just finally, what are the key lessons learned from the GRV process that should be applied to the upcoming polls in November 2024?
You see, and that is the main purpose why we are here in Swakopmund, because as a commission we thought, let's sit and reflect what worked and what didn't work as we prepare for November polling. What were the critical challenges that we have observed in our regions? So what we did as a commission is to invite the management and as well as the regional representatives. You know, we have done away with the regional coordinators, the temporal coordinators that we used to employ in the past. We have now employed regional electoral officers on a permanent basis, just to ensure operational efficiency. And we could really see from this exercise that indeed there is operational efficiency in our system, and there is value in employing these people on a permanent basis. Take note that these are officials who have just been employed, not even for more than a year, but they managed to pull through the process of the general registration of voters. So they blended into the system so fast that they could understand all the processes and assist the commission to carry out its mandate at the regional level. So what we have done now is that we encapsulate what have worked in your region. So we figured out a few challenges here and there that we would now go back and have addressed. One of the challenges, for example, is the payment of our suppliers. You know, during pick-up time like this, we rely on external suppliers. We rely on renting vehicles from private owners, we rely on renting generators from private owners, and these suppliers need payment. But then we also need to understand that if, for example, you are a first-time supplier to government, because ECN relies on government payment system, there are processes that need to be followed. And nothing frustrates like you receiving your payment late, although this is clearly stipulated in our in our contracts that we have signed or entered into with the suppliers. So one of the key areas that we have identified is to ensure that how best can we work to ensure that the suppliers also understand that after we have appointed you as a supplier, you need to be initiated in the government payment system. And then that is a process also, and it's quite lengthy process, because then the government is not only serving ECN, there are other companies, other ministries, offices and agencies that are also requiring that service. So what we have done is to ensure that we inform and make this information available to our suppliers at the onset, to say, look, if you are new in the system, or if you are a new supplier to government and you are not in the government system, we need or require you to provide us with this type of documentation and allow us this time frame in order for us to finalize and make payment. For instance, the issues of the suppliers who have supplied us with generators, some of them, they do not have banking details. Some of them, they have not been coming forth to supply or to submit the necessary documents that we have requested them to do. And what we have done is to ensure that we to accelerate this at the regional level, so that our regional electoral officers can then deal with those issues at the regional level and assist these suppliers who couldn't understand the whole process, to ensure that they get the necessary documentation in order for them to be initiated in the system and then be paid what is due to them.